There we go. Hello, minions. Welcome to the inaugural episode of Professor Awesome and the Minions of Doom. We're starting a half hour late today. I tweeted out the third set of links because we couldn't figure out how to get both Peter, me, and the public in on this at the same time. I'm not really certain if you're going to be able to do comments on here because, as you can tell, we're really struggling to figure this out. However, if you do want to make some comments and you're not able to, I think there are comment screen here somehow, and you're not able to make comments on the screen, you can just tweet them at me. And just use the hashtag #ProfAwesome, and you should be able to find them there. Okay, so normally we'll open with a theme song, and the theme song just got recorded tonight. In fact, I haven't heard it yet, so we'll probably start with that on the second episode. A group called Wreck the System has put together a theme song for us, so I'm very excited to hear what that's going to be. And let me just talk for just a second about what the purpose of this netcast/podcast is. So this.
Wait, 1 second. I don't get the theme song for my.
Well, I haven't heard it, but how would you like to compose one with me right now? We could come up with one.
We could rap.
All right. You want me to lay out a beat for you? And you can, or do you want to?
No, I think we wasted that time.
Well, we could do
next time. I'll rap.
Awesome and the Minions of Doom, they will come at you, and ever since you were in the womb. That's really terrible. That is the worst. I apologize to the Wrecking Crew, except that I made them look good by comparison. So when that comes, anyway, so. The purpose of this really is to kind of create a sort of sense of community among people who are interested in these sort of weird medieval, early modern things that we are. And often I'll have the Minions of Doom here, which will be actually a couple of my current students to sort of talk about things that we've read that in class that they thought were weird or interesting. But today we don't have one of the Minions of Doom. Instead, we have one of the, I don't know what to call you, from the Brotherhood of Brainiacs or some other such thing. My first guest is, and I have known Peter for, I'll bet you, close to 10 years now, and I'm going to get it right someday. Peter Konieczny.
Oh, that's really good.
Well, okay, it only took 5 minutes of coaching before this to get it right. And Peter is one of the founders of medievalists.net, which you should totally be looking at just to see all sorts of fun and smart things about the Middle Ages. And also, you have a new job as well. Why don't you tell us about that, because I don't know any of the details of this yet.
Yes, I am the editor of this called Medieval Warfare Magazine. It comes out every 2 months. You can find it in your local shop, and it is a magazine all about medieval warfare, which is very good for the title. So not a confusing title. And I'm now the editor of it for the last 2 weeks. I'm currently working on an issue that will come out in the fall. It will be about the Templars. Every 2 months you'll get a new issue, themes. We're going to be looking at peasants' wars, Vikings, tournaments, particular battles, things like that. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I am going to really enjoy it because that's my kind of background. Even before medievalist.net, I was interested in medieval warfare and did some website work for that. So I am really pumped.
All right, great. And so if we see a sudden decline in the quality of the writing in medieval warfare, we'll know who to blame, right?
Yes, I am.
Excellent. In any case, all right, so today we're going to talk about fun medieval deaths. And so you got some medieval deaths you want to tell us about. So hit us up with some. We thought we might as well, this episode might be born the entire podcast might be born into the world of death. So let's hear about this.
Yeah, I wrote about this about 2 years ago. I did a post that's on medievalist.net, and it was just kind of fun stuff. Well, it wasn't fun for everyone, but fun for us readers to look at what happened to, for instance, a prince of France who was joyriding or street racing with horses, I guess. And his horse tripped, he was thrown off, and he landed so dreadfully he fractured his limbs that he died on the following day. So, alas, the poor, shocking that a prince would be caught racing around at night in the streets of Paris. So.
I think someone should inform Hollywood that just at the point when it might seem like the Fast and the Furious franchise is running out of steam, they can always do a time travel episode.
Yes, yeah, I know that should be it. They might actually do that. Head back to the Middle Ages, racing wagons and carts. That'd be great.
Yeah. So, do you have any other fun death by horse?
Lately, there is an Earl of Orkney from the 9th century. His name was Sigurd Eysteinsson, who he had won this battle. He had killed his opponent. And he cut off his head, as a trophy, right? And what he did was he strapped the head to his saddle and was riding back home. But while he was doing that, for some reason, the skull, the teeth on this guy's skull, cut into his leg, and the wound became infected, and he died. So
ultimately, wait. So the Earl of Orkney is the guy who
he cuts off the guy's head.
Right, and who's the guy whose head got cut off?
His name was Malbrigitte the Tusk.
The Tusk.
Yes, I think he got that nickname after he died. So.
Oh, after his vengeful teeth.
Yes. So you can just imagine him running around. He's got the head, and somehow the head's jaw is open and bite on his leg. How could it happen? Oh man, it feels like it's happened to you. So.
I'm already getting attacked here, right?
And
my own headset.
And alas, with the poor medical care of 9th century, an infected wound, death. So,
spoiler alert for the next episode of Game of Thrones. Ned Stark's head will fall off the stake and will bite someone and infect them and kill them. It could be anyone, probably Tyrion. I would guess.
Oh no, not Tyrion.
Right. So I guess that is a true spoiler if you don't know what happens at the end of season 1. So yeah, that's pretty awesome to kill someone to kill someone and not just kill them after you're dead by I infected them with some sickness, but literally bite them when you're dead. That is pretty impressive stuff.
Yes, that you have to say that the Tusk, he won out in that battle. Just even though he died first, he won that battle.
This now is the last item on my bucket list: is to bite the man who kills me.
That's yes, that would be.
Do you have any other fun ones for us?
Yes, I have a pope. Oh, Adrian the First, the only English pope we've ever had. So, alas, he had a problem of tonsillitis, which I know was very tough. So, he had tonsillitis and it caused pus to build up his mouth. According to one account, he was drinking wine, and there was a little fly had fallen into the wine. And when he drank it up. I guess he didn't notice. He drank it up, and the fly got stuck in the pus of his throat, and he choked to death.
Isn't there a children's song about that? Oh, that's the old. Was the old man or old woman who swallowed a fly? I guess they'll die. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
No.
A noodle man who swallowed. I don't know. I'm going to get it wrong. I've already done some horrible singing in this episode here. Uh, so all right. So death by fly. We've had death by medieval drag racing.
Mm-hmm.
We've had the vengeful vengeance of we've had the vengeance of a recently dead person, almost a zombie, but not quite. And we've had a pope killed by a fly.
All good.
Right. Oh, by the way, we do have some viewers who are listening live. Of course, this will later be an audio podcast. If you have particular questions, feel free to tweet them at hashtag Prof Awesome.
Hello, my viewers.
Twitter, right? Or at me at RS Noakes.
For our live viewers, you're the first that will be joining with what will soon be millions of viewers tuning in at this very live time. So.
I'll bet they're there with bated breath and other kinds of breath as well. So now you haven't had that many that were focused on battle, and warfare is your thing. I mean, I guess it's warfare after the fact, when the guy gets his when he gets bitten by his dead foe. Do you have any sort of weird things that occur in battle? This sounds like a setup for something I prepped for. I actually have no idea whether you do or not. So
they battle, not quite really. There is an interesting hunting accident.
All right, let's hear about this.
Basil I, Byzantine emperor, 9th century. So he was 75 at the time. So he could have gone in any second. He's out hunting, and somehow a deer got close enough to him that its antlers caught on his belt, and it dragged him. It dragged him off his horse and dragged him 16 miles through the woods.
Oh my gosh!
He wasn't killed. He did not die right away.
Hey, how old was he?
He was 75. So even after being dragged for 16 miles through the woods, he did not die. And he was good enough that there was an attendant that came following after, trying to save him, right? He was trying to cut him loose with a knife. And, but then I guess the emperor was so out of it that he ordered that man to be executed because he thought he was an assassin.
And did they?
Yes, they did. They executed him, and he died shortly after the emperor.
So let that be a lesson to him. Wait, so to be clear, he didn't die. The man who tried to save him from death by deer dragging died.
Well, they both died. But the man who tried to save him died first. The emperor, I guess, after ordering his death, the man who don't save me. That's what you get for trying to save me. Then he dies.
Well,
sadly, it really is bad for the attendant. All he had to do was, stall for another minute or two,
mm-hmm.
and then the new emperor would probably pardon
him. That's true.
Byzantine emperors. There's a lot of kind of strange ways Byzantine emperors go. So,
So what's another Byzantine emperor death?
All right, the Zeno, great name, 5th century. According to some accounts, he fell unconscious after drinking heavily.
The only accounts I want to hear are the most outrageous ones. I don't want to hear the responsible accounts. So.
You can drink heavily, you survive that. But his wife, the Empress, declared him dead and placed him in a sarcophagus and refused to allow anyone to open it as they heard him call for help. He's dead, she says. No, he is dead. That's just air leaking. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, since we did previously have someone who was able to gnaw on their enemies after their death, I mean, a corpse shotting from a sarcophagus, that's really no evidence, no proof of life there at all, I would think. He could very well still be dead, just very boisterous while dead.
It could have happened. And of course, I think everyone there, that's what they believe.
Right.
So.
Well, we've had. I mean, when I'm listening to these deaths,
Mhm.
I kind of imagine that it would be a lot more along the lines of the Pope being killed by the fly, which is the death is bizarre because how could this thing possibly kill you? But instead, we have a lot of examples of sort of medieval tough guys who are they're killed. They still bite their enemies. They're dragged. They're in their 70s and they're dragged miles through the woods by a deer,
Mhm.
and they still manage to have someone executed before they die.
Yep.
I'm going to assume that he really was dead and just shouting that sarcophagus because that's a lot more fun. That's a lot more fun to assume. You have any more tough guy deaths?
Yeah, well, my very favorite one of my
All
list.
right, let's hear the most.
It is Henry II, Count of Champagne. He's on crusade, so he's in the Holy Land, and so he's up in his palace at Acre, watching it. He's up on like the second floor or something like that, or maybe the third floor. He's watching these troops kind of form around in the court. So he's leaning on the railing, looking down. Alas, the railing gave way, and he fell to the ground. Now, he may have actually survived, but alas, his dwarf, frightened and distressed, fell out too and landed on top of him. It was said that if the dwarf had not fallen on him, he would perhaps not have died so soon.
Spoiler alert, this also is how the entire Game of Thrones series ends, when Tyrion ascends the Iron Throne by falling from a height upon his last enemy.
Poor guy to die by dwarf.
We've had death by dwarf, death by deer,
Mm-hmm.
death by fly.
Yeah.
I forgot our first death already. We've had death by drinking, but that's not a surprising one. And death by wipe also is not surprising.
Another death by drinking one.
Okay.
And this is this is the only execution I have that is a strange death. And usually executions aren't strange, right?
Right.
But
You would think it's pretty straightforward.
This one is George Plantagenet,
Mm-hmm.
Prince, the brother of King Edward IV, of treason, ordered to be executed. But he was allowed to be executed in the way he wanted to be executed. And so he chose to be drowned in a large vat of wine. In particular, Malmsey wine, his favorite beverage.
Right.
So, a very probably excellent way to die.
Right. You would think so.
Yeah, if you had to go, right?
So, Peter, if you had to choose your method of dying, what would be your method?
I would choose the way King Martin the Humane died. He was the king of Aragon and Sicily in the 15th century. He was suffering. He wasn't doing too well. He was suffering from indigestion from eating an entire goose. When his jester came into his bedroom, Martin asked where he had been, and the jester replied, "Out of the next vineyard, where I saw a young deer here hanging by his tail from a tree, as if someone had so punished him for stealing figs."
Oh,
Now, that kind of sounds a little odd, but the king found this so funny that he laughed uncontrollably until he fell over and died. So, yes, I would love to die laughing. And if it's again some stupid joke that only he got, at least he died happy.
that would be a good way to go. That would be a great way to go. Are you familiar with? I'm going to essentially plug a podcast here, and by a guy by the name of Patrick Lane, and I don't know this fellow at all. But there's a podcast called Medieval Death Trip. Are you familiar with this?
I have just started listening to it. Yes. So.
Okay, so I think they're only he's like 9 episodes in, and he talks about sort of death in the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to be stomping all over his territory every week or anything. Are you familiar with his work outside the podcast?
I haven't. No, I haven't. I didn't know what he was doing outside the podcast. But I just actually. I think within the last month, I kind of came onto it, so I started listening to a couple of the episodes. I will listen to more. Yeah, it sounds fairly good. It sounds like it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I'm going to plug a podcast here. Medieval Death Trip is what it's called. Before we sort of get to other plugs and plugging the work you're doing and things like that, any last deaths you wanna make sure you leave us with?
Oh, I'll just leave you with one that I think a lot of viewers and readers might actually know, which is how Henry I died, which is eating a plate of lamprey eels. Henry I of England. He was told by his doctors not to eat it. It's not good food. He loved it anyways. And he died the night. He died. That night. He fell ill, and he soon died. So, alas, that is how Henry I, one of the great kings of England, passed away.
I do have the great hope that I die while eating a plate of nachos, and from the nachos themselves. I would like them to be spicy enough that they kill me dead.
You sure you don't want them like the little triangles and you just get wedged in your throat?
That sounds okay. I'll go with that. I'm actually fine with almost any nacho related death. I have a great and abiding love of nachos. I'd be happy to die as I lived eating nachos. So we don't have any sponsors. I'm being paid by the university, so I'm not really.
We could make up a sponsor.
We could make up a sponsor.
The letter V.
For.
Well, if it's good enough for Sesame Street.
That's true.
I'd say the letter V is our sponsor. Doesn't get much attention on Sesame Street, I bet.
This is true. So let's is there anything you'd like? Well, obviously you want to plug your website, which is
medievalists.net. So.
Medievalists with an S, medievalists.
Yeah.
.net, not .com. That's really the central clearinghouse for, almost anything medieval that is really popularly accessible. If it's not on there, it's something that only really, really big medieval nerds like me can even understand, and usually not even me. And how can people see the medieval warfare? Tell us about that.
Well, this is medievalists.net, and this is the if you want to look on an iPad. Mm-hmm. About a couple months ago we changed the look on iPad, so it's nice and you can move it along.
Right.
Very well. So
you've also got a magazine that's associated with medievalists.net. Is that right?
Yeah. We're doing a digital magazine that we come out every week, and people can subscribe for $7.99 a month. It's where we put the news. We have some. We have articles that we found that are really that we think are really good for sharing, and we have some of our own material as well. I'm actually right now working on this week's issue, which is a day late because I was at Kalamazoo for the International Medieval Congress, so I'm working a little behind because I'm trying to get out some reports from the Congress. So some of the great papers I heard.
And then how can people look at that? They can go to medievalists.net to find that?
Yeah, if you go to medievalists.net, you can, if you go to look for the link, Our Magazine, we have some links throughout the site. You click on that, it'll let you know about all the issues. Each issue has its own, well, I guess a theme or a cover story. And you can buy them for $2.99 each through PayPal or through Jumag, and you can subscribe as well. So. which and we'd be very happy to get subscribers. We've been building up. That's how we make money, how we eat. Medievalist.net is the kind of support of people supporting our magazine. So.
And how can people see medievalwarfare.com?
Well, Medieval Warfare, I think...
Or not medievalwarfare.com, Medieval Warfare, sorry. Yeah.
Medieval Warfare, you can find this in your local bookstore, like a Barnes & Noble type chapters, W.H. Smith, if you're in England. They're made by the makers of Ancient Warfare magazine. So you can see in the history section. I think if you're looking for it online, I think the best thing would be to Google Medieval Warfare magazine. That should take you to Carbonary Press, and that is where you can order subscriptions, buy back issues. Again, every issue has a particular theme. This one, which is the latest issue, is about the War of the Sicilian Vespers. So fun stuff. You get your dose of politics and military history, and it's been a lot of fun. And when I was at Kalamazoo, I was talking with lots of potential writers.
What's Kalamazoo?
Oh, Kalamazoo is the International Congress on Medieval Studies. It's a 4-day conference, the largest one for if you're an academic studying the Middle Ages. You'll go to the to Western Michigan University. It's in Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is a real place. And it's halfway between Detroit and Chicago. And you go there and join 3,000 other scholars and graduate students and hangers-on to listen to some really good papers and some less good papers. So, as well as partake in wine, and shop in a giant book room full of medieval books where you spend more money than you think you than you could think possible. So there you go. So yes, that's part of it.
Okay. Anyway, sorry. And so you at Kalamazoo, you were saying this year Kalamazoo, which just happened, right?
Yes.
In fact, I got back a couple days ago.
I didn't see there. Ah.
I know. I was only there for one day. I got married last month, and I had a lot of family responsibilities. So I was there. I was only there for one day of the. Plus, I was avoiding you.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
Now, on a little bit more serious note, I just literally as I was looking to see if anyone had tweeted questions, I just found this out.
Okay.
I just saw that Fred C. Robinson died. Were you aware of that, or is this just breaking news here?
This is breaking news.
Yeah, apparently Fred Robinson, who is a really I don't have a full-on obit for him. He was the reason I was looking around here is I wanted to see if I had any of his books handy, and I know I've got some other work that he's done, but Guide to Old English, Bruce Mitchell and Fred C. Robinson. I actually have 2 editions of this sitting here. I have another book which is just his, but I can't seem to locate at the moment. He was in his 80s, I think, and he passed away a couple of weeks ago, apparently. But the obituary I just now, while I was looking for other things I saw it come across Twitter, and he's really important for the listeners who don't know in sort of the medieval academic world, and he's also Mitchell and Robinson was for many of us who studied Old English was the go-to text that we kind of learn things from. So
he's a Yale professor. You might be reading his edition of Beowulf, or Guides to Old English, other kind of works on that. He's even was the president of the Medieval Academy of America at one time.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So, less amusing, but real news. I just, since it just literally came across just now, I thought maybe we should share that. Okay, so what we are going to be doing at the end of every episode, I hope, is I have a great love of nerdcore music.
Okay.
I do. I have a great love of nerdcore music, and so. Future episode or the podcast will sort of like go out plugging someone's nerdcore tune. This is pretty much a proto episode here. If you only heard part of this and you want to hear the full thing, or you want to hear it again, or you just want to share it with your friends, of course we'll have the audio, this sort of video on YouTube, and also very soon, as soon as I figure out around all the technical problems I had today, this will be available in podcast form.
Wow.
So the idea is to have this sort of semi-live netcast, and then a not so live podcast. Anyway, for those of you who sort of stuck around and watched this live, thanks for joining us. This and
thank you so much for having me as your first guest.
Well, it was great having you struggle through these first technical problems with me.
Yes.
This time around.
And it's shocking that medievalists aren't so adept at modern media.
Well,
really surprising.
Well, we could do the scriptorium live, but the monks, their pens get really dry quickly. So, and since I got you on the air, I do want to put you on the spot and get you to commit to come on again and talk about battle, particularly medieval warfare.
I would love to be on again.
I heard you know a thing or two about that subject.
You may be misinformed, but
okay. Well,
what other people have said, so that's important.
Thank you, Peter. Everyone, go to his site, get his stuff, and thank you all for joining us. I guess this one we will not have outro music. If we do, then great. If we do, by the time I have the podcast up and running. So thanks all for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye.